This is the movie story of a man who fell to rock bottom but never gave up. A man who once slept in a subway restroom with his little son and later became a millionaire. The true story behind the Pursuit of Happyness. This little boy was so pitiful. He and his father could only sleep inside the subway's public restroom. The father laid toilet paper on the floor as bedding. When someone banged on the door and cursed from outside, the father braced his legs against the door and covered his son's ears tightly. Always strong, he finally couldn't hold back his tears, but he tried with all his strength not to cry out loud. This is one of the greatest inspirational films in cinema history, rated 9.2 by millions of viewers. It once carried me through some of my darkest days. If you ever feel hopeless about life, I strongly recommend you watch it. In 1981, America was in economic crisis. Homeless people filled the streets, some even fainting from hunger. On TV, President Reagan read a bleak economic report. Sitting in front of the screen was a black man named Chris Gardner. His face was full of worry. He had been unemployed for a long time, and even feeding his wife and child had become a problem. Chris had invested all his savings into buying medical scanners, hoping to get rich by selling them. But soon he realized that these scanners were only slightly more accurate than X-rays, yet cost twice as much. No matter how eloquent he was, selling them was nearly impossible. Now he owed 2 months of rent, had delayed paying taxes twice, his car had been repossessed, and he had piles of unpaid fines. For 4 months, his wife had been working 2 jobs. She grew increasingly irritable, treating him with coldness and sarcasm. Chris himself hadn't smiled in a long time. One day, Chris came to a place where everyone seemed happy. He stopped a man driving a luxury car and asked 2 simple questions. "What do you do, and how do you do it?" The man replied he was a stockbroker, that anyone good with numbers and people could succeed in this job. Chris was great at math, and after years in sales, he knew how to deal with people. A spark of hope was lit. When he told his wife about applying to a brokerage firm, she mocked him cruelly. "Stop, here. You're not an astronaut, are you?" But Chris still applied for an internship. With no degree and no experience, his resume went nowhere. Refusing to give up, he waited outside the company building for an entire month until he finally caught the HR manager. The man brushed him off, saying he was in a hurry. Quick-thinking Chris claimed he was going the same way, so they shared a taxi. In the cab, the manager ignored him and focused on a Rubik's Cube, the hottest puzzle of the time, saying it was impossible to solve. Chris bet he could finish it before they arrived. The manager, chuckles, laughed, but soon his smile faded as Chris solved the first side, then the second, then the third. Even the driver turned his head in disbelief. By the time they reached the destination, Chris had solved the whole cube. "Good job," the manager said, surprised, stunned for the first time. But Chris then realized the manager hadn't paid the fare. The meter had jumped to $18, far more than Chris could afford. He ran out, chased by the furious driver, clutching his medical scanner as he dashed into the subway. That month's living expenses were gone. Chris finally broke down, screaming in frustration in the subway. That same night, his wife called. She was leaving, taking their son. Rain streamed down Chris's face, maybe mixing with tears. He couldn't understand why happiness never knocked on his door, no matter how hard he tried. When he rushed home, the house was empty. His wife refused to listen to him anymore. His only request was that his son stay with him. But the landlord soon kicked them out. Just when Chris thought all hope was gone, the HR manager called. He had an interview in 2 days. The day before, however, police arrested him for unpaid parking tickets. He had no choice but to use his last savings to pay the fine, but the check wouldn't clear until morning. He begged, but the police refused. He spent the night in jail. Released the next morning, he had no time to clean up. He rushed to the interview in paint-stained clothes. The HR manager was embarrassed to see him. The boss tried to trip him up with technical questions. Chris admitted honestly, "Thoughtful. I'm the type of person, if you ask me a question and I don't know the answer, I'll tell you I don't know. But I'll also tell you that I know how to find the answer, and I will find it." Finally, the boss asked, "Challenging. If someone came to an interview without even wearing a shirt and I hired him, what would you think? Chris replied with wit. Chuckles. He must have some really nice pants. The room laughed. Against all odds, he passed. But the internship was unpaid for 6 months, with only one position available among 20 candidates. He had no choice but to gamble everything. Chris worked harder than anyone, compressing 9 hours into 6 so he could pick up his son after school, then endure long commutes back home. He skipped water so he wouldn't waste time in the restroom. He was always running, never walking. He endured humiliations, fetching coffee, snacks, even moving cars for superiors. Even when opportunities slipped away, like missing a big client due to delays, he never gave up. He apologized in person, impressing people with his sincerity, and slowly built connections with wealthy clients. But disaster struck again. His bank account was seized for unpaid taxes. He was broke. Homeless, he and his son wandered. In one heartbreaking night, he pretended a broken medical scanner was a time machine and told his son they had to hide from dinosaurs. The only cave they could find was a subway restroom. Chris locked the door, covered his son's ears as strangers banged from outside, and silently cried. Days were spent working like a machine, nights fighting for a bed in homeless shelters. Sometimes they slept on trains. Through it all, his son never blamed him, even comforting him. Don't be sad. After selling blood to survive and repairing broken machines by streetlight, Chris endured until the final day of his internship. Called into the office, he braced for rejection. Instead, his boss smiled and said, "Wear that nice shirt again tomorrow, because tomorrow will be your first day as a full-time employee." Chris froze. For once, the man of words had no words. His eyes widened, filling with tears he fought to hold back. Leaving the building, he walked as if dancing, covering his mouth to contain his joy. Alone in the crowd, he clapped for himself, his private victory. At the end, the father and son walked happily through the city. A man passed by. It was the real Chris Gardner, the true story's hero. Today, he is a millionaire investor. Everyone waits for happiness to knock on their door. But when will it come? Maybe the story Chris's son told offers an answer. One day, a man was drowning in the water. A boat came by and said, "Do you need help?" He said, "No, thank you. God will save me." Another boat came by and asked again. He said, "No, thank you. God will save me." Then he drowned and went to heaven. He asked God, "Why didn't you save me?" And God said, "I sent you 2 big boats, you dummy." Do you like it? That man was Chris Gardner. The real Chris later walked across the screen in the final scene. From homelessness to Wall Street success, he proved one thing. Happiness may not come when you expect it, but it comes if you never stop fighting.